Which southern central US state, whose capital city has the same name, was the last to recognize Christmas as an official holiday? Oklahoma. Oklahoma was the last US state to officially recognize Christmas as a legal holiday, doing so in 1907, the same year it achieved statehood. Prior to this, individual states had varying approaches to recognizing public holidays, and Oklahoma's late adoption reflects its relatively recent admission to the Union. In which country, the largest of its continent, is it said that finding a spider web on Christmas morning brings good luck, and so Christmas trees are decorated with artificial spider webs? Ukraine. In Ukraine, the largest country entirely within Europe, a unique Christmas tradition involves decorating trees with artificial spider webs. This custom stems from a folk tale where a poor family's tree was covered in webs that turned to silver and gold by morning, symbolizing good fortune and prosperity. Under which Puritan leader did the English Parliament pass a law banning Christmas in 1647? Oliver Cromwell. During the English Civil War, the Puritan-dominated Parliament, led by Oliver Cromwell, passed an ordinance in 1647 banning the celebration of Christmas. They considered it a Catholic festival with pagan roots, promoting idleness and revelry rather than sober religious observance. In which European country is it said that malicious goblins called Kalikantzaroi, or Kalikantzari, singular Kalikantzoros, play troublesome pranks at Christmas? Greece. Kalikantzaroi are mischievous goblins in Greek folklore, believed to emerge from the earth during the 12 days of Christmas, from Christmas Eve to Epiphany. They are said to cause trouble, spoil food, and play pranks before returning to the underworld. The predatory animal, Ensia, is better known by what name? Snow leopard. Ensia is the scientific name for the snow leopard, a large cat native to the mountain ranges of Central and South Asia. This elusive apex predator is classified as vulnerable, facing threats primarily from habitat loss and poaching. The first singing radio commercial, which aired in the US on Christmas Eve 1926, was for which brand? Wheaties. The first singing radio commercial, featuring a jingle, aired on Christmas Eve 1926 for Wheaties cereal. This marked a significant milestone in advertising history, demonstrating the power of music and catchy slogans in marketing products to a wider audience through the new medium of radio. The Latin word meaning, coming, gave us what term which still refers to the coming Christmas period, and also to a particular tradition popular with children? Advent. Advent is a season observed in most Christian denominations as a time of expectant waiting and preparation for the celebration of the Nativity of Jesus at Christmas. Derived from the Latin word, adventus, meaning, coming, it also refers to the Advent calendar tradition, often used by children to count down the days until Christmas. In which country does Santa have his own personal postcode ho-ho-ho? Canada. Canada Post initiated the ho-ho-ho postcode for Santa Claus in 1982, allowing children worldwide to send letters to Santa and receive a reply. This special service is managed by volunteers from Canada Post, adding a unique touch to the country's festive traditions. Nadal's Lawan means Merry Christmas in which Western European language? Welsh. Nadal's Lawan is the traditional Welsh greeting for Merry Christmas. Welsh is a Brythonic language of the Celtic family, spoken primarily in Wales and by a significant diaspora. What material, originally conceived as textured wallpaper by Mark Chawans and Al Fielding, gained widespread popular use and celebrated its 50th anniversary in 2010? Bubble wrap. Bubble wrap was invented in 1957 by Mark Chawans and Al Fielding, initially intended as a three-dimensional wallpaper. Its unique design, however, found its true calling as a protective packaging material, celebrated for its cushioning properties and popular, popping appeal. Identify the long-serving president of Rwanda who was in the news during 2010 due to criticisms regarding human rights. Paul Kagame. Paul Kagame has been a dominant figure in Rwandan politics since the 1994 genocide, serving as president since 2000. In 2010, his administration faced international scrutiny and criticism over human rights issues, particularly concerning political freedoms and alleged suppression of dissent. Which state in Mexico experienced a devastating mudslide in September 2010? Oaxaca. In September 2010, the state of Oaxaca in Mexico suffered a severe mudslide, particularly affecting the indigenous town of Santa Maria Tlahuatoltepec. Heavy rains triggered the disaster, resulting in significant loss of life and extensive damage to infrastructure. In November 2010, France signed a significant 50-year treaty with which country, focusing on joint defense forces, the sharing of an aircraft carrier, and cooperation in nuclear technology? The United Kingdom, UK. The Lancaster House Treaties, signed in November 2010 between France and the UK, marked a historic agreement for defense and security cooperation. The treaties encompassed joint expeditionary forces, mutual access to naval facilities, and collaboration on nuclear deterrence and technology, signifying deeper bilateral military ties. In 2010, US President Barack Obama's meeting with which spiritual leader drew strong protests from China, leading Beijing to describe the leader as a wolf in monk's clothing. The Dalai Lama. US President Barack Obama's meeting with the Dalai Lama in February 2010 in Washington, D.C. prompted a strong diplomatic protest from China. Beijing views the Dalai Lama as a separatist and considers any official engagement with him as interference in its internal affairs, especially regarding Tibet. What island nation was hit by an earthquake and tsunami disaster in October 2010? Indonesia. Indonesia is an island nation located in the Pacific Ring of Fire, making it highly susceptible to seismic activity. The October 2010 earthquake and tsunami in the Mentawai Islands caused significant devastation, highlighting the country's vulnerability to natural disasters. What iconic London institution was sold to the Qatar Investment Authority, Qatar's sovereign wealth fund, in May 2010? Harrods. Harrods, the renowned luxury department store in London, was acquired by the Qatar Investment Authority, QIA, in 2010. This acquisition marked a significant investment by a sovereign wealth fund into a globally recognized retail landmark. According to official figures released in 2010, what country originated the most refugees during the previous 30 years? Afghanistan. Afghanistan has consistently been one of the largest sources of refugees globally, a consequence of protracted conflict and instability within the country. This statistic reflects decades of geopolitical turmoil and internal strife that have led to the displacement of millions of its citizens. Name the controversial leader of the Dutch right-wing Freedom Party which won 24 seats in the Dutch elections, who was refused entry into the UK for his racist views. Geert Wilders. Geert Wilders is a prominent Dutch politician and the leader of the Party for Freedom, PVV, known for his outspoken anti-immigration and anti-Islam views. His political influence and controversial statements have made him a significant figure in European right-wing politics and international debates on freedom of speech. Sacked whistleblower Cheryl Eckard was awarded $96 million compensation against what pharmaceuticals corporation following malpractice at the Sidra plant in Puerto Rico? GlaxoSmithKline. Cheryl Eckard, a whistleblower, exposed serious quality control failures at GlaxoSmithKline's Sidra manufacturing plant in Puerto Rico, leading to a substantial compensation award. This case underscores the crucial role of whistleblowers in uncovering corporate malpractice and upholding public health and safety standards in the pharmaceutical industry. What capital city was devastated by the 2010 Haiti earthquake? Port-au-Prince. Port-au-Prince, the capital of Haiti, suffered catastrophic damage from a major earthquake in January 2010. The disaster resulted in widespread destruction, immense loss of life, and triggered a massive international humanitarian response, highlighting the vulnerabilities of infrastructure in developing nations located in active seismic zones. The U.S. Navy announced in 2010 moderately successful testing of boat fuel containing what renewable ingredient? Seaweed. Seaweed is a promising renewable resource being explored for biofuel production due to its rapid growth and lack of reliance on arable land or freshwater. This research is part of global efforts to develop sustainable energy sources and reduce dependence on fossil fuels. Freedom of expression blogger Hossein Derakhshan was sentenced in September 2010 to 19 years in prison for anti-state activities in which country? Iran. Hossein Derakhshan, an Iranian-Canadian blogger, was a prominent figure in the Iranian blogosphere, and his sentencing highlighted ongoing concerns about freedom of expression and human rights in Iran. His case drew international attention to the crackdown on dissent and internet censorship in the country. A plane crash close to Smolensk airport in western Russia killed almost half the leadership of which country? Poland. The Smolensk air disaster occurred in April 2010, killing Polish President Lech Kaczynski, his wife, and numerous other senior Polish officials. The delegation was en route to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the Katyn massacre. This tragedy had profound political and emotional implications for Poland. Charles Taylor, in court, along with witnesses Naomi Campbell and Mia Farrow, at The Hague in 2010, the first African president to face trial for war crimes, led which nation? Liberia. Charles Taylor, the former president of Liberia, was tried by the Special Court for Sierra Leone for his role in the Sierra Leone Civil War. He was convicted in 2012 of war crimes and crimes against humanity, marking a landmark moment in international criminal justice as the first former head of state to be convicted by an international tribunal since Nuremberg. What Secret Service organization was accused of forging British passports for its agents allegedly responsible for an assassination in Dubai? Mossad. Israel's intelligence agency, Mossad, was widely accused of forging British and other European passports for agents involved in the assassination of Hamas leader Mahmoud al-Mabhouh in Dubai in 2010. This incident led to significant diplomatic tensions and international condemnation over the use of falsified travel documents. What online grocery company was floated on the UK Stock Exchange in July 2010? Ocado. Ocado, a British online supermarket, held its initial public offering, IPO, in July 2010, marking a significant event in the UK's e-commerce and retail sectors. Its public listing reflected the growing investor confidence in the online grocery market and digital retail platforms. Which Southeast Asian city experienced fatal riots in May 2010, involving red-shirted protesters opposed to the national government? Bangkok. The 2010 Thai political protests, primarily involving the Red Shirts, United Front for Democracy Against Dictatorship, were major civil unrest in Bangkok. These protests aimed to remove the Abhisit Vejajiva government, leading to significant violence and disruption in the capital. This event is relevant for understanding regional political stability and current affairs of that period. What Danish discount grocer did Walmart's Asda buy for £778 million in 2010? Netto. In 2010, Asda, then a subsidiary of Walmart, acquired 193 Netto stores in the UK for £778 million. This acquisition aimed to expand Asda's presence in the discount grocery market. British Airways announced a merger with which other airline in 2010? Iberia. British Airways and Spain's Iberia Airlines announced their merger in 2010, officially forming the International Airlines Group, IAG, in January 2011. This created one of the world's largest airline groups by revenue. Name the US General and Commander of NATO forces in Afghanistan sacked by Barack Obama in 2010. Stanley McChrystal. General Stanley McChrystal, then commander of US and NATO forces in Afghanistan, was sacked by President Barack Obama in June 2010. His dismissal followed controversial remarks made by him and his aides about administration officials in a magazine article. Commenting on a major UK historical project of 2010, to what did experts refer as gangland bling? The Staffordshire Anglo-Saxon Gold Hoard. The Staffordshire hoard, discovered in 2009, is the largest hoard of Anglo-Saxon gold and silver metalwork ever found. In 2010, it was acquired by the Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery and the Potteries Museum and Art Gallery for £3.285 million, captivating the public and historical experts. A war crimes tribunal in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, convicted Chief Jailer Kaing Gek Ev, also called Kaing Kek U or Kaing Kek Iev, of what regime, responsible for the 1.7 million deaths in the 1970s, killing fields, genocide? Khmer Rouge. Kaing Gek Ev, known as Dutch, was the commandant of the notorious S21 prison, Tuol Sleng, during the Khmer Rouge regime in Cambodia. In 2010, he was convicted by an unbacked tribunal for crimes against humanity, becoming the first Khmer Rouge leader to be held accountable for the 1970s genocide. UN Food and Agriculture Policy was publicized during 2010 advocating the replacement of meat in global food supply with what? Insects and worms. In 2010, the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, began publicizing the potential of edible insects as a sustainable food source. This initiative highlighted insects' nutritional value, low environmental footprint, and potential to address global food security challenges. Name the journalist, writer, and leader of the influential Work Foundation research organization, bought by Lancaster University in 2010. Will Hutton. Will Hutton is a prominent British journalist, writer, and economist known for his work on social market economy and business ethics. In 2010, Lancaster University acquired the Work Foundation, an influential independent research organization focused on improving working lives, where Hutton served as executive vice chair. Born Hermin Santraschitz in Vienna, adopted as Miep Gies in Amsterdam, who died aged 100 in 2010, helped protect which famous writer? Annie Frank. Miep Gies was one of the Dutch citizens who helped hide Annie Frank and her family from the Nazis during World War II. She discovered and preserved Anne's diary after the Franks were arrested, ensuring its eventual publication and global recognition. In 2010, India announced the reintroduction of which animal, 60 years after its extinction in the wild? Cheetah. The reintroduction of cheetahs in India represents a major conservation initiative aimed at restoring a species that had been declared extinct in the country in 1952. This effort, involving relocation from countries like Namibia and South Africa, seeks to re-establish a viable population and enhance biodiversity within designated habitats. Identify the UK Conservative Party donor and deputy chairman who faced scrutiny regarding his non-dom tax status in 2010. Lord Ashcroft. Lord Ashcroft, a notable businessman and a significant donor and deputy chairman of the UK Conservative Party, faced considerable political pressure over his non-domiciled, non-dom tax status. This status allows individuals whose permanent home is outside the UK to avoid paying UK tax on their foreign income and gains, raising questions about tax equity and political accountability. Sir Robert Mark, who passed away in 2010 at age 93, held what notable UK post from 1967 to 77? Metropolitan Police Commissioner. Sir Robert Mark was a prominent figure in British law enforcement, serving as the Metropolitan Police Commissioner from 1967 to 1977. His tenure was notable for significant reforms and a strong stance against police corruption, leaving a lasting impact on policing in the UK. Internet hackers calling themselves the Iranian Cyber Army interrupted service of which Chinese search engine in January 2010? Baidu. In January 2010, the Iranian Cyber Army launched a prominent cyber attack against Baidu, China's dominant search engine. This incident highlighted the growing threat of state-sponsored or politically motivated cyber warfare targeting critical online infrastructure and services. What is Burj Khalifa notable for becoming in 2010? The world's tallest building. Completed and inaugurated in 2010, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, UAE, officially became the world's tallest building. Standing at 828 meters, 2,717 feet, it is a marvel of modern architecture and engineering, holding numerous height records. What major European bank's name replaced those of Abbey and Bradford and Bingley in an extensive 2010 rebranding of its acquired branches? Santander. In 2010, Santander, a major Spanish banking group, completed an extensive rebranding of its acquired UK branches, consolidating them under the Santander name. This move involved phasing out well-known British brands like Abbey and Bradford and Bingley, marking a significant change in the UK banking landscape. An inquiry in which European country became the first to judge that the Iraq war had no lawful justification within international law? Netherlands. A Dutch parliamentary inquiry in 2010 concluded that the 2003 Iraq war lacked a sufficient basis in international law. This made the Netherlands the first European country to officially issue such a judgment, sparking considerable debate regarding the legal justification for military interventions. Hospitalized in Saudi Arabia towards the end of his life, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua was president of where, from 2007 until his death in 2010? Nigeria. Umaru Musa Yar'Adua served as the president of Nigeria from 2007 until his death in 2010. His presidency was marked by efforts to combat corruption and implement electoral reforms, despite significant health challenges that frequently led to his hospitalization. English and French scientists argued publicly in 2010 over the existence of what, originally identified and named after German gynecologist Ernst Grafenberg? The G-spot. The existence and nature of the G-spot, a purported erogenous zone, became a subject of public scientific debate between English and French researchers around 2010. Named after German gynecologist Ernst Grafenberg, its anatomical definition and physiological role continue to be topics of scientific discussion and research. A 2010 study published in The Lancet suggested which medicine, recently found to reduce cancer development, in addition to providing protection against strokes and heart attacks, is the most amazing drug in the world. Aspirin. Aspirin is a widely used medication known for its analgesic, anti-inflammatory, and antipyretic properties. Beyond its primary uses for pain relief and fever reduction, it is also prescribed as an antiplatelet agent to prevent cardiovascular events like strokes and heart attacks. Recent research has also explored its potential role in reducing the risk of certain cancers. Which European country is known as the cockpit of Europe? Belgium. Belgium is historically known as the cockpit of Europe, due to its strategic geographical location, which has frequently made it a battleground for major European powers throughout history. Numerous significant conflicts, including pivotal battles in both World War I and II, have taken place on Belgian soil. Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin, Crick and Watson, DNA discoverers, the economist John Maynard Keynes, and the comedian John Cleese are among the notable alumni of which university? Cambridge. The University of Cambridge, established in 1209, is one of the world's oldest and most prestigious universities. It has produced an extraordinary number of Nobel laureates and influential figures across various fields, including Isaac Newton, physics, Charles Darwin, biology, and John Maynard Keynes, economics. What degree angle are the corners of a regular tetrahedron? 60. A regular tetrahedron is a polyhedron composed of 4 equilateral triangular faces, 6 straight edges, and 4 vertex corners. Since each face is an equilateral triangle, all internal angles within each face are 60 degrees. Therefore, the face angles at each vertex of a regular tetrahedron are 60 degrees. Name the Google phone and software system which, according to some news reports in 2010, ended Nokia's 10 years of market dominance. Android. Android is a mobile operating system developed by Google, primarily designed for touchscreen mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets. Introduced in 2007, it quickly rose to prominence, significantly disrupting the mobile phone market and eventually surpassing competitors like Nokia's Symbian OS in market share by the early 2010s, marking a major shift in the tech industry. Named after its inventor, what is the signal lamp used to transmit Morse code, devised in the late 1800s and still used today on naval ships? Aldous lamp. The Aldous lamp is a visual signaling device utilized to transmit Morse code by flashing a focused beam of light. Invented in the late 19th century, it became a standard form of communication, particularly in naval operations, allowing ships to communicate silently over short to medium distances using directed light signals. The largest sex discrimination lawsuit in U.S. history, which began in 2001 and by 2010 involved 1.5 million female workers, was filed against which employer? Walmart. The Dukes vs. Walmart Stores, Inc. case was a landmark class action lawsuit concerning gender discrimination. Though ultimately decertified by the Supreme Court in 2011, it remains the largest private sector civil rights case in U.S. history, highlighting issues of equal employment opportunity and corporate accountability. Which Scottish castle did Queen Victoria and husband Prince Albert buy in 1852? Balmoral. Balmoral Castle is a large estate house in Royal Deeside, Aberdeenshire, Scotland, and a residence of the British royal family. Queen Victoria and Prince Albert purchased the estate in 1852, finding it a tranquil and private retreat, and subsequently built the present castle. Southwest is how many degrees on a compass? 225. A standard compass rose is divided into 360 degrees, with north at 0 degrees, or 360 degrees. Moving clockwise, east is 90 degrees, south is 180 degrees, and west is 270 degrees. Southwest lies precisely halfway between south, 180 degrees, and west, 270 degrees, making it 225 degrees. Which bird, which lays the largest egg in proportion to its body size of all birds, is an apteryx? Kiwi. The kiwi is a flightless bird endemic to New Zealand and is remarkable for laying the largest egg in proportion to its body size of any bird species. The term, apteryx, is derived from Greek, meaning, without wings, referring to the kiwi's vestigial wings. Who is the twin sister of Sebastian in William Shakespeare's Twelfth Night? Viola. In William Shakespeare's comedy, Twelfth Night, or What You Will, Viola is one of the central characters. She is separated from her twin brother, Sebastian, during a shipwreck and disguises herself as a man named Cesario, leading to a series of comedic misunderstandings and romantic entanglements. In which South American country is the region and its regional capital city called Arequipa, the nation's second largest city, as of 2010? Peru. Arequipa is a major city in Peru and the capital of the Arequipa region. Known as the White City, due to its distinctive white volcanic stone architecture, it is the country's second most populous city and a significant economic and cultural hub in southern Peru. What, alluding to a piece of broken glass, became London's tallest building when under construction during 2010? The Shard. The Shard, designed by architect Renzo Piano, is a 95-story skyscraper in London. Its distinctive pyramidal shape and glass facade, resembling shards of glass, made it the tallest building in the United Kingdom and Western Europe upon its completion in 2012, significantly altering London's skyline. What was the secret police of East Germany? Stasi. The Stasi, officially known as the Ministry for State Security, Ministerium für Staatssicherheit, was the official state security service of the German Democratic Republic, East Germany. Operating from 1950 to 1990, it was one of the most effective and repressive intelligence and secret police agencies in the world, known for its extensive network of informants and surveillance. The Shat al-Arab River is formed by the confluence of which two rivers, at Al-Qurna, Iraq near Basra? Tigris and Euphrates. The Shat al-Arab is a river in Southwest Asia, approximately 200 kilometers long, formed by the confluence of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers at Al-Qurna, Iraq. This strategically significant waterway forms part of the border between Iraq and Iran. What expression traditionally refers to a small nation-state that is politically unstable due to dependence on a single commodity controlled by external finances? Banana Republic. A banana republic is a pejorative term describing a politically unstable country whose economy is largely dependent on the export of a limited resource, often under foreign influence. The term originated in the early 20th century to describe Central American countries with economies tied to banana exports. How many minutes are there in a degree of an angle? 60. In angular measurement, a degree is precisely divided into 60 minutes of arc. This subdivision system is fundamental in fields such as geometry, trigonometry, navigation, and astronomy. In the British military, what is the term for an orderly assigned to serve an officer, a term also associated with a well-known comic book character? Batman. In the British Army, a batman was historically an orderly assigned to a commissioned officer, typically acting as a personal servant. The term predates and is unrelated to the popular comic book character, though the shared name often leads to confusion. Which product was Amazon's biggest ever seller by the end of 2010? Kindle. By the end of 2010, the Amazon Kindle had become the company's best-selling product of all time, surpassing even books. This achievement underscored the growing popularity of e-readers and the accelerating shift towards digital content consumption in the early 21st century. Which Australian city is nicknamed the Big Smoke? Sydney. Sydney is the most populous city in Australia and the state capital of New South Wales. The nickname, the Big Smoke, is often used for large, bustling cities, reflecting Sydney's status as a major global hub and economic centre. In which African country is Lake Oguta, an important Biafran army base during the 1967-70 Biafran War? Nigeria. The Biafran War, also known as the Nigerian Civil War, was a devastating conflict fought between Nigeria and the Republic of Biafra from 1967 to 1970. Lake Oguta, located in Nigeria, served as a significant strategic base for the Biafran army due to its geographical importance. Suomi is the local name for which European country? Finland. Suomi is the native name for Finland in the Finnish language. It is important to know the indigenous names of countries as part of general geographical and cultural knowledge. The term paraskevedeka triophobia informally refers to an irrational fear of what time-related concern? Friday the 13th. Paraskevedekatriophobia is a specific type of phobia, an irrational and intense fear of Friday the 13th. Phobias are anxiety disorders characterized by persistent and excessive fear of an object or situation. The Atan, a Pashtun ethnic dance, is the national dance of which country? Afghanistan. The Atan is a traditional and highly energetic Pashtun folk dance, deeply ingrained in the cultural fabric of Afghanistan. It holds the status of the national dance and is performed during various celebrations, symbolizing joy and community spirit. Diplopia is the medical term for which condition of the human body? Double vision. Diplopia is the medical term for seeing two images of a single object, commonly known as double vision. This condition can arise from various underlying causes, including issues with eye muscles, nerves, or certain neurological disorders, and requires medical evaluation. Battement tendu, grand ikat, entrechat, hortensia, and sisson are terms in what art form? Ballet. These terms are fundamental to classical ballet, a highly formalized and technical dance form. They represent specific movements, positions, and jumps that form the core vocabulary of ballet technique, essential for dancers' training and performance. By which other name, alias, was the American outlaw Robert Leroy Parker better known? Butch Cassidy. Robert Leroy Parker was an infamous American train and bank robber, leading the Wild Bunch gang in the American Old West. He achieved widespread notoriety under his alias, Butch Cassidy, becoming a significant figure in American frontier history and folklore. On the Mohs scale of mineral hardness, what is number 1 and softest, with the formula magnesium silicide deca-oxygen dihydroxide? Talc. Talc is a clay mineral composed of hydrated magnesium silicate, magnesium silicide deca-oxygen monohydroxide 2. It is designated as 1 on the Mohs scale of mineral hardness, making it the softest known mineral, and is commonly used in various industrial and cosmetic products. What British coin, whose nickname strangely alludes to the leather industry, ceased to be legal tender in June 1980? Sixpence. The sixpence, a British coin, ceased to be legal tender in June 1980. First minted in 1551 during the reign of Edward VI, it was also colloquially known as a tanner, a nickname that some believe relates to the leather industry. What term, traditionally relating to trains and slippery rails, and a children's play area, refers in computing to a secure area or function where code can be tested in safe isolation? Sandbox. In computing, a sandbox refers to an isolated testing environment where code or programs can be executed securely without affecting the host system. This term is metaphorically derived from a children's play area or a box of sand used by trains for traction, both implying a contained and safe space. What degrees temperature is the same in centigrade, Celsius as it is in Fahrenheit? -40. The temperature of -40 degrees is the unique point where the Celsius, centigrade, and Fahrenheit scales converge. At this specific temperature, the numerical value is identical on both measurement systems. In what form does keratin, the substance human fingernails and hair are made from, sell for more than gold, and endanger a species? Rhino horn. Rhino horn, predominantly composed of keratin, the same protein found in human hair and fingernails, is illegally trafficked and sold at exorbitant prices, often surpassing the value of gold. This illicit trade is the primary driver behind the severe endangerment of rhinoceros species worldwide, highlighting a critical conservation issue. The nuclear disaster site at Chernobyl, to which tourist visits began in 2011, is in which country? Ukraine. The Chernobyl nuclear disaster occurred in 1986 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, located near the city of Pripyat in the then Ukrainian SSR, now part of independent Ukraine. The site remains a significant area for environmental study and disaster management, with controlled tourist visits to the exclusion zone having commenced in 2011. What symbol commonly used in print, and titles especially, derives from a combination of the letters E and T? Ampersand. The ampersand symbol, and, is a logogram that historically originated as a ligature of the letters, et, which is Latin for, and. Its use dates back to the 1st century AD, illustrating its ancient roots in typography and language. What is a filbert nut more commonly called, from the name of the tree bearing it? Hazelnut. A filbert nut is more commonly known as a hazelnut, a name derived directly from the hazel tree, genus Corylus, that produces it. Hazelnuts are widely cultivated and consumed globally for their distinctive flavor and nutritional value. What French term is used in English when referring to a thought or experience that a person believes she has already seen before? Déjà vu. Déjà vu is a French term that literally translates to already seen. It describes the distinct and often perplexing sensation of having previously experienced a current situation or event, even when it is objectively occurring for the first time. On a Western-style QWERTY keyboard, what number shares the key with the percent symbol? 5. On a standard Western-style QWERTY keyboard, the number 5 shares a key with the percent symbol. Users typically access the percent symbol by holding down the Shift key while pressing the 5 key. What important river in southwest France and northwest Spain gives access to Bordeaux, and links the Mediterranean Sea to the Bay of Biscay? Garonne. The Garonne is a major river originating in the Spanish Pyrenees, flowing through southwestern France and providing access to the port city of Bordeaux. It eventually empties into the Atlantic Ocean via the Gironde estuary. Which U.S. president was known by the nickname, King of Camelot? John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, and his administration were often associated with the mythical kingdom of Camelot. This romanticized image, popularized by his widow Jacqueline Kennedy, symbolized a period of youthful idealism and ambition, cut short by his assassination in 1963. What is commonly referred to as the fourth dimension, in addition to the three spatial dimensions of length, width, and height? Time. In physics, time is often considered the fourth dimension, alongside the three spatial dimensions. This concept is central to Albert Einstein's theories of special and general relativity, where space-time is a unified four-dimensional manifold. What German word refers to a non-biologically related look-alike or a spectral double of a living person, often perceived as an omen of bad luck? Doppelganger. A doppelganger is a German word literally meaning, double goer, referring to a non-biologically related look-alike or a spectral apparition of a living person. Traditionally, encountering one's doppelganger was considered an omen of impending death or misfortune in folklore. What is iron pyrite, iron disulfide, iron 4 sulfide, commonly known as, due to its resemblance to a valuable metal? Fool's gold. Iron pyrite, or iron disulfide, Fes2, is a common mineral often mistaken for gold due to its metallic luster and brass yellow hue, leading to its nickname, fool's gold. While it has commercial uses, it is far less valuable than actual gold. What traditional unit of power, related to the early development and measurement of steam engines, typically equates to between 735 and 746 watts? Horsepower. Horsepower, HP, is a traditional unit of power, initially defined by James Watt in the late 18th century to compare the output of steam engines with the power of draft horses. 1 mechanical horsepower is equivalent to approximately 745.7 watts, while 1 metric horsepower is 735.5 watts. Which renowned composer was featured on the reverse side of the UK £20 banknote that was withdrawn from circulation in 2010? Edward Elgar. Sir Edward Elgar, a prominent English composer, was featured on the reverse of the Bank of England £20 banknote issued in 1999 and withdrawn in 2010. His image recognized his significant contributions to classical music, including works like the Pomp and Circumstance marches. How many zeros are represented by the metric multiple prefix, 13? 12, 10 to the power of 12. The metric prefix, 13, denotes a factor of 1 trillion, which is 10 to the power of 12. It is commonly used in computing and science to quantify large amounts, such as terabytes for data storage or terahertz for frequency. Abraham Maslow's fundamentally meaningful theory of motivation, popularly shown as a pyramid of motivational factors in a person's life, is known widely as Maslow's what? Hierarchy of needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a psychological theory comprising a 5-tier model of human needs, often depicted as a pyramid. This theory suggests that basic needs must be satisfied before individuals can attend to needs higher up, ranging from physiological necessities to self-actualization. What is the upright cylindrical apparatus on a ship around which cables or hawsers are wound for hoisting anchors and lifting sails, etc.? Capstan. A capstan is a vertical axled rotating machine used on ships to multiply force when turning a rope or cable. It is essential for heavy lifting tasks such as hoisting anchors, mooring vessels, and setting sails, thereby aiding in ship maneuverability and operation. The Crimean Peninsula is part of which European country? Ukraine. The Crimean Peninsula is a major landmass situated on the northern coast of the Black Sea. Historically an autonomous republic within Ukraine, it was annexed by the Russian Federation in March 2014, a move that remains largely unrecognized by the international community. What is the vein running along the center of a leaf called? Midrab. The midrab is the central, most prominent vein of a leaf, extending from its base to the apex. It provides essential structural support to the leaf blade and contains vascular tissues, xylem and phloem, responsible for the efficient transport of water and nutrients throughout the leaf. The disease beriberi is caused by the deficiency of which vitamin? B1. Beriberi is a debilitating disease caused by a severe deficiency of thiamine, also known as vitamin B1. Thiamine is critical for the body's metabolism of carbohydrates and proper nerve function, and its absence can lead to significant neurological and cardiovascular disorders. What is measured in hertz? Frequency. Hertz, Hz, is the standard international system of units, unit for frequency, which quantifies the number of cycles per second. It is widely used to measure the frequency of various periodic phenomena, including sound waves, electromagnetic waves, and electrical oscillations. 24 Sussex Drive is the official residence of the Prime Minister of which country? Canada. 24 Sussex Drive is the historically significant official residence of the Prime Minister of Canada, located in Ottawa. This prominent landmark has served as the home for Canadian Prime Ministers since 1951, though it has been unoccupied by the Prime Minister since 2015 due to extensive repair requirements. Hyperion and Rhea are two moons of which planet in our solar system? Saturn. Hyperion and Rhea are two notable moons orbiting the planet Saturn. Rhea is the second largest of Saturn's moons, while Hyperion is distinctive for its highly irregular shape and chaotic, unpredictable rotation. This is a sharp medicine, but it is a physician for all diseases and miseries. is attributed to which historical figure as he was about to be executed in 1618? Sir Walter Raleigh. This poignant quote is famously attributed to Sir Walter Raleigh, uttered just before his execution in 1618. Raleigh was a prominent English explorer, writer, soldier, and courtier during the Elizabethan era, eventually executed on charges of treason. Which English poet is associated with Dove Cottage in Grasmere? William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth lived at Dove Cottage in Grasmere, Lake District, from 1799 to 1808. This period was significant for his poetic output, including works like lyrical ballads, and the cottage is now a museum dedicated to his life and work. What does the well-known Latin phrase, cogito, ergo sum, commonly attributed to René Descartes, translate as in English? I think, therefore I am. Cogito, ergo sum, is a philosophical proposition by René Descartes, fundamental to Western philosophy. It asserts that the act of doubting one's own existence proves that an I exists to do the doubting, serving as a first indubitable truth for his system of knowledge. In which country was astronomer and scientist Nicolaus Copernicus born? Poland. Nicolaus Copernicus, a Renaissance astronomer and mathematician, was born in Toruń, Royal Prussia, part of the Kingdom of Poland. He is famous for formulating a model of the universe that placed the Sun rather than Earth at its center, known as the heliocentric model. Which country is referred to as the land of the long white cloud? New Zealand. The land of the long white cloud is the English translation of Aotearoa, the Maori name for New Zealand. It refers to the distinctive cloud formations often seen over the islands, which were a guiding feature for early Polynesian navigators. Astigmatism affects which part of the human body? Eye. Astigmatism is a common and generally treatable imperfection in the curvature of the eye's cornea or lens. This irregular curvature causes blurred vision at any distance because it prevents light from focusing properly on the retina. Who would use a maul stick or mahlstick? Artist, painter. A maul stick or mahlstick is a stick with a padded leather or cork tip, used by artists to support their hand and steady the brush while painting. It helps prevent accidental smudges and allows for finer detail work, particularly in oil painting. The Capuchin catacombs are on which Mediterranean island? Sicily. The Capuchin catacombs are ancient burial catacombs located in Palermo, Sicily. They are famous for their unique and extensive collection of mummified bodies, dating from the 17th to the 19th centuries, preserved in various states. Who, having a name which brings to mind a children's game played all around the world, was appointed Home Secretary in Britain in May 1997? Jack Straw. Jack Straw was a prominent Labour politician who served as Home Secretary under Prime Minister Tony Blair from 1997 to 2001. His appointment in May 1997 was part of the incoming Labour government's cabinet following their landslide election victory. Which English king, who lived from about 988–993 to 1016, was nicknamed Ironside? Edmund II. Edmund II, also known as Edmund Ironside, was King of England for a brief period in 1016. He earned his nickname for his efforts to defend England against the Danish invasion led by Cnut the Great, demonstrating exceptional bravery and military prowess. Glyptography, or glyptics, is the art of carving or engraving on what? Gemstones. Glyptics, or glyptography, is the art of carving or engraving on gemstones or other hard materials. This ancient art form is used to create intaglios, engraved designs that are recessed into the material, and cameos, carved designs that are raised from the background. Which artist painted the Man in a Red Turban? Jan van Eyck. Jan van Eyck was a prominent early Netherlandish painter, and Portrait of a Man in a Red Turban, 1433, is one of his most famous works, often considered a self-portrait. It is celebrated for its detailed realism and mastery of oil painting techniques. The Landlord's Game, patented in the US by Elizabeth Magie in 1904, was a form of which now popular board game? Monopoly. The Landlord's Game was patented by Elizabeth Magie in 1904 as a tool to demonstrate the economic principles of Georgism, particularly the negative effects of monopolies and land speculation. It directly influenced the creation of the modern board game Monopoly, which became immensely popular. Which musical note has the same value as half a semibreve or 2 crotchets? Minim. In musical notation, a minim is a note that lasts for 2 beats, equivalent to half a semibreve or 2 crotchets. Understanding note values is fundamental to reading and interpreting musical scores. What type of insect is a devil's coach horse? Beetle. The devil's coach horse is a large, black rove beetle, Staphylonodae family, known for its aggressive posture when disturbed, curling its abdomen upwards like a scorpion. It is a common predatory insect found across Europe and parts of North America. What is the term for a word formed from the initial letters of other words, such as NATO? Acronym. An acronym is a type of abbreviation formed from the initial letters of other words and pronounced as a word, such as NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. This differs from an initialism, where each letter is pronounced individually, e.g., FBI. What is the ancient axe-like hand tool used for shaping wood, especially in boat building, with a curved blade at right angles to the line of the handle, unlike a conventional axe whose blade is in line with the handle? Adze. An adze is an ancient and versatile cutting tool characterized by a blade mounted perpendicularly to the handle, similar to a hoe. It has been widely used across various cultures for millennia, particularly in woodworking, shaping timber, and boat building, for tasks requiring hollowing or smoothing surfaces. Brabantio is whose father in Shakespeare's play Othello? Desdemona. Brabantio is a Venetian senator and the father of Desdemona in William Shakespeare's tragedy, Othello. His disapproval of Desdemona's marriage to Othello drives a significant portion of the play's initial conflict, setting the stage for the tragic events that unfold. In April 1940, author and political leader Booker T. Washington became the first African American to be depicted on an American what? Postage stamp. Booker T. Washington, 1856–1915, was a prominent African American educator, author, and orator. In 1940, he became the first African American to be featured on a U.S. postage stamp, an important recognition of his contributions to education and civil rights. What does a philumanist collect? Matchboxes and/or matchbook labels. A philumanist is a person who collects matchboxes, matchbooks, or matchbox labels. This hobby involves the collection and study of match-related ephemera, often focusing on their design, history, and cultural significance. The village of Tulpadal, the home of the 19th-century Tulpadal martyrs, is in which English county? Dorset. The Tulpadal martyrs were a group of 19th-century agricultural laborers from Tulpadal, Dorset, who were arrested and transported to Australia for forming a trade union. Their case became a cause célèbre for the early trade union movement and workers' rights in Britain. Aside from being a nuisance, if one gets into your garden, what is an animal called that feeds only on plants? Herbivore. An animal that feeds exclusively on plants is known as a herbivore. Herbivores occupy the primary consumer level in most food chains, playing a crucial role in ecosystems by converting plant matter into energy for other trophic levels. In England, celebrating the restoration of the monarchy in 1660, on which date was Oak Apple Day celebrated? The 29th of May. Oak Apple Day, or Royal Oak Day, was an English public holiday celebrated on May 29, commemorating the restoration of the English monarchy in 1660. The date marks King Charles II's birthday and his escape after the Battle of Worcester in 1651 by hiding in an oak tree. The Pictish language was spoken in which nation in early medieval times? Scotland. The Pictish language was an extinct Brittonic Celtic language spoken by the Picts, the indigenous people of eastern and northern Scotland during the early Middle Ages. Its exact relationship to other Celtic languages is still debated by linguists, though it is generally considered to be P-Celtic. In Norse mythology, from which type of tree was the first man created? Ash. In Norse mythology, the first human man, Ask, meaning ash tree, and woman, Embla, meaning elm tree, were created by the gods Odin, Vili, and Way from two logs found on a seashore. The ash tree is particularly significant, as the world tree Yggdrasil is also an ash. What is the name of the Japanese plant, used as a condiment in cooking, with a thick green root which tastes like strong horseradish? Wasabi. Wasabi, or Japanese horseradish, is a plant of the Brassicaceae family, native to Japan. Its rhizome, stem, is ground into a pungent green paste used as a condiment, particularly with sushi and sashimi, providing a strong, spicy flavor. Algeria became independent from which European country in 1962 after over 100 years of rule? France. Algeria gained independence from France in 1962 after a protracted and brutal war of independence that lasted from 1954 to 1962. This event marked a significant moment in post-colonial history and French decolonization efforts. In 2011, the notorious ex-dictator Jean-Claude "Baby Doc" Duvalier returned to and was arrested in which country? Haiti. Jean-Claude "Baby Doc" Duvalier, who ruled Haiti from 1971 to 1986, returned to the country in 2011 after 25 years in exile. His return sparked protests and he was subsequently arrested on charges of corruption and human rights abuses, reopening a significant chapter in Haiti's political history. What was the name of the American pioneer whose son was killed when a party of pioneers was led into Kentucky in 1773? Daniel Boone. Daniel Boone was a celebrated American frontiersman and pioneer instrumental in the exploration and settlement of Kentucky. In 1773, during an attempt to lead settlers through the Cumberland Gap, his eldest son, James, was tragically killed in an attack by Native Americans, a profound event in the history of American westward expansion. In Greek mythology, Aglaia, Thalia, and Euphrosyne are the three what? Graces. In Greek mythology, Aglaia, splendor, Thalia, good cheer, and Euphrosyne, mirth, are collectively known as the Carites, or Graces. These goddesses embodied charm, beauty, human creativity, goodwill, and fertility, often depicted as companions to Aphrodite and patrons of festivities. Reportedly written by Julius Caesar in 47 BC, what do the words veni, vidi, vici translate to in English? I came, I saw, I conquered. The Latin phrase veni, vidi, vici is famously attributed to Julius Caesar, who reportedly used it to describe his swift and decisive victory at the Battle of Zeila in 47 BC. This terse yet powerful declaration perfectly encapsulates his military prowess and efficiency, becoming an enduring symbol of quick success. The only Swiss Guard still in existence serves in which European city? Vatican City. The Pontifical Swiss Guard is an elite military unit responsible for the security of the Pope and the Apostolic Palace in Vatican City. Established in 1506 by Pope Julius II, it is the world's oldest continuously existing military force, distinguished by its unique historical uniform and ceremonial duties. Li Xianlong was reportedly the highest paid what, globally, in 2010? National leader. Li Xianlong, the Prime Minister of Singapore, has consistently been reported as one of the highest paid national leaders in the world, including in 2010. His salary often generates international discussion and comparison regarding executive compensation in public service, reflecting Singapore's policy of attracting top talent with competitive pay. Hezbollah is a political, terrorist organization in which country? Lebanon. Hezbollah, meaning, Party of God, is a powerful Lebanese Shia Islamist political party and militant group. It wields significant influence in Lebanese politics and maintains a well-armed militia, being designated as a terrorist organization by several countries, including the United States and many European nations. Relating to the sea, what are spring and nap? Tides. Spring and nap are terms describing the two main types of tides, influenced by the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun. Spring tides, characterized by the largest tidal range, occur during new and full moons when the sun, earth, and moon are aligned, while nap tides, with the smallest tidal range, happen during quarter moons when the sun and moon are at right angles to earth. Jutland is part of which European country? Denmark. The Jutland Peninsula is a large peninsula in northern Europe, forming the mainland part of Denmark and a small northern part of Germany. It is strategically important due to its geography, bordering the North Sea to the west and the Kattegat and Baltic Sea to the east. In heraldry, what is a wyvern? Dragon. A wyvern is a legendary winged creature, often depicted as a bipedal dragon with a barbed tail. In heraldry, it is a frequently used charge and symbol, distinct from a traditional four-legged dragon, representing power, strength, and conquest. What is the descriptively named painting technique where tiny dots blend to form a picture? Pointillism. Pointillism is a painting technique in which small, distinct dots of color are applied in patterns to form an image. Developed by Georges Seurat and Paul Signac in the late 19th century, it relies on the viewer's eye to blend the colors optically, creating a luminous and vibrant effect. What flowers prompted William Wordsworth to write and title a poem about after seeing them at Lake Ullswater in 1802? Daffodils. William Wordsworth's famous poem, commonly known as I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, was inspired by a host of golden daffodils he encountered by Ullswater. This 1802 experience encapsulates his romantic appreciation for nature and its profound impact on the human spirit. Which fish is known in the British fishing industry as silver darlings? Herring. Herring are small, oily forage fish, highly significant to the British fishing industry due to their historical abundance and economic importance. They were a staple food source and a major export, earning them the affectionate moniker, silver darlings. What is the basic monetary unit of Iceland? Krona. The Icelandic krona, ISK, is the official currency of Iceland. It is subdivided into 100 aurum, though aurum coins have not been in circulation for many years. What was poet Lord Byron's first name? George. Lord Byron, one of the leading figures of the Romantic movement, was born George Gordon Byron. He is considered one of the greatest British poets and remains influential in literature and popular culture. Eric Schmidt announced in 2011 stepping down from CEO to executive chairman of what corporation, whose vast growth in the 2000s he oversaw? Google. Eric Schmidt served as the CEO of Google from 2001 to 2011, during which he oversaw the company's rapid expansion and diversification into various technology sectors. His transition to executive chairman allowed co-founder Larry Page to assume the CEO role, marking a significant leadership change in one of the world's most influential tech giants. Jazz musician Gene Krupa was famous for playing which musical instrument? Drums. Gene Krupa was a highly influential American jazz drummer, bandleader, and composer, recognized for his energetic and showy style. He rose to fame in the 1930s with Benny Goodman's orchestra and was instrumental in elevating the drums from a time-keeping instrument to a prominent solo voice in jazz. Dancer was the American Secret Service code name for the wife of which U.S. president? Jimmy Carter. Secret Service code names are assigned to protect U.S. presidents, their families, and other prominent figures. Rosalind Carter, wife of President Jimmy Carter, was known by the code name Dancer. On which of the Great Lakes does the city of Milwaukee lie? Michigan. Milwaukee, the largest city in Wisconsin, is situated on the western shore of Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan is one of the 5 Great Lakes of North America and is the only one located entirely within the United States. What farming disease was reported in 2011 to have virtually disappeared, 25 years after its emergence and scary projection? BSE. Bovine spongiform encephalopathy, BSE, commonly known as mad cow disease, is a fatal neurodegenerative disease in cattle. After its emergence in the UK in the 1980s, stringent control measures were implemented, leading to a significant reduction in cases by 2011. In certain species of birds, what is the name of the pouch used for temporarily storing food? Crop. The crop is a muscular pouch located in the esophagus of many bird species, as well as some insects and gastropods. Its primary function is to temporarily store food before it is digested, allowing birds to consume a large amount of food quickly when available. In 1135 Henry I of England died from food poisoning related to eating a surfeit of lampreys. What are lampreys? Jawless eel-like fish. Lampreys are an ancient lineage of jawless fish belonging to the order Petromyzontiformes, characterized by their eel-like bodies and a sucker-like mouth. King Henry I of England's death in 1135 is famously attributed to eating a surfeit of lampreys, leading to food poisoning. Buried in Highgate in London and subsequently immortalized in economic and social theory, who wrote the Communist Manifesto in 1848? Karl Marx. Karl Marx was a German philosopher, economist, historian, political theorist, sociologist, and revolutionary. He is best known for co-authoring the Communist Manifesto in 1848 with Friedrich Engels, a foundational text in the history of the socialist movement. Name the fantasy North Wales village used in film and TV, notably the 1960s, The Prisoner series, at one time directly related to a porcelain company of the same name which now owns the Spode and Royal Worcester brands. Portmeirion. Portmeirion is a unique tourist village in Gwynedd, North Wales, designed and built by Sir Clough Williams Ellis between 1925 and 1975. Its distinctive architecture and picturesque setting made it famous as the location for the 1960s television series, The Prisoner. In which year was the first British vehicle registration issued? 1903. The Motor Car Act 1903 mandated the registration of motor vehicles and the licensing of drivers in the United Kingdom. This act led to the issuance of the first vehicle registration plates in Britain, signifying a major step in regulating early automotive travel. Jamaica Inn, made famous by writer Daphne du Maurier, lies on which moor? Bodmin. Jamaica Inn, an actual coaching inn in Cornwall, England, gained literary fame through Daphne du Maurier's 1936 novel of the same name. The inn is historically situated on Bodmin Moor, an expansive granite moorland in northeastern Cornwall known for its rugged landscape and ancient history. What is the Hogarth, or S-shape, an arrangement of flowers? The Hogarth curve, or S-shape, is a classic design principle in floral arrangement, named after the 18th century artist William Hogarth. It emphasizes graceful, flowing lines and balance, creating a visually appealing and dynamic composition. What is the longest side of a right-angled triangle called? Hypotenuse. In a right-angled triangle, the hypotenuse is the side opposite the right angle and is always the longest side. Its length can be calculated using the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Mycology is the branch of biology concerned with the study of what? Fungi. Mycology is the scientific discipline dedicated to the study of fungi, including their genetic and biochemical properties, taxonomy, uses to humans, e.g., as food, medicine, and dangers, e.g., poisoning, infection. Fungi play crucial roles in ecosystems as decomposers and symbionts. Who was British ex-Prime Minister Tony Blair's press secretary and influential strategist? Alastair Campbell. Alastair Campbell served as Tony Blair's press secretary and director of communications and strategy from 1997 to 2003, becoming a highly influential figure in British politics. He played a key role in shaping public perception and media strategy for the Labour government. In 1869, Frenchman Eugene Mayer invented a wheel for which mode of transport, and became regarded as a father of the high version of the machine. Bicycle. In 1869, Eugene Mayer invented the wire-spoke tension wheel, a critical component that paved the way for the high-wheeler, or penny farthing, bicycle. This invention significantly improved bicycle design and is considered a pivotal moment in the development of modern cycling. What Swiss alpine town hosts the annual World Economic Forum gathering of international leaders, financiers and business chiefs? Davos. Davos, a high-altitude resort town in the Swiss Alps, is renowned as the host of the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum, WEF. This event brings together global political and business leaders, economists, and journalists to discuss pressing world issues. Claret wine comes from which wine region of France? Bordeaux. Claret is a traditional British term for red wine from the Bordeaux region of France. Bordeaux wines are globally celebrated for their quality, diversity, and aging potential, primarily made from Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Cabernet Franc grapes. Name the only G8 nation whose law, subject to challenge in 2011, requires a married couple to adopt only one surname. Japan. Japan is the only G8 nation with a civil code that traditionally requires married couples to adopt a single surname. While not explicitly dictating which surname, in practice, over 95% of women adopt their husband's surname, a practice that has faced ongoing legal challenges regarding gender equality. What is the term, of French origin, loosely translated, into mouth, for using facial muscles and shaping the lips for the mouthpiece to play a woodwind or brass musical instrument? Embouchure. Embouchure refers to the specific shaping and control of the lips, facial muscles, and tongue used by players of wind instruments, brass and woodwind, to produce a sound. Proper embouchure is crucial for tone quality, pitch control, and endurance. Which European country faced a prolonged period without a government from June 2010 into 2011 due to failed coalition talks among its 7 political parties? Belgium. Belgium experienced a significant political crisis from 2010 to 2011, going 541 days without a fully fledged government. This was due to complex linguistic and regional divisions between its Dutch-speaking Flemings and French-speaking Walloons, making coalition formation extremely difficult. Which book of the Bible describes the account of Noah's Ark? Genesis. The story of Noah's Ark is found in the book of Genesis, the first book of the Hebrew Bible and the Christian Old Testament. It recounts God's decision to flood the earth to cleanse it of wickedness, saving Noah, his family, and pairs of all animals aboard a massive ark. In his 2011 memoir, Known and Unknown, which former US politician attributed blame to others, including Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice, for mistakes made during the Iraq War, Donald Rumsfeld. Donald Rumsfeld, former U.S. Secretary of Defense, published his memoir, Known and Unknown, in 2011, offering his perspective on the Iraq War. In the book, he largely defended his decisions while also pointing to failures by other officials, sparking debate among political analysts and historians. How many vertices, corners, does a regular dodecahedron possess? 20. A regular dodecahedron is a Platonic solid characterized by 12 regular pentagonal faces. According to Euler's formula, V, E plus F equals 2, a dodecahedron has 12 faces, 30 edges, and therefore 20 vertices. English 17th century, hearth money, was a tax levied on which specific part of a house? Chimney. Hearth money, also known as chimney tax, was a property tax in England and Wales from 1662 to 1689, levied on each hearth or fireplace in a dwelling. It was a significant source of revenue for the crown but was widely unpopular and seen as an intrusion into private homes. Which prolific 18th-century German-British composer created famous works such as Water Music, Music for the Royal Fireworks, and the opera Circe? George Friedrich Handel. George Friedrich Handel was a towering figure of the Baroque era, known for his operas, oratorios, anthems, and organ concertos. His Water Music and Music for the Royal Fireworks are iconic orchestral suites composed for royal occasions, demonstrating his mastery of ceremonial music. Who wrote the 1976 book, The Selfish Gene, Extending Ideas of Natural Selection in Evolution? Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins is a prominent evolutionary biologist and ethologist. His 1976 book, The Selfish Gene, popularized the gene-centric view of evolution and introduced the concept of the meme. First made in 18th century France, a bergère, meaning shepherdess, is what type of furniture? Chair. A bergère is a style of upholstered armchair with an exposed wooden frame that originated in 18th century France. It is characterized by its wide, deep seat and closed armrests, designed for comfort and elegance. How many horizontal sections does a papal cross have? 3. A papal cross, also known as the triple bar cross, is a Christian cross with 3 horizontal bars of varying lengths, with the uppermost being the shortest and the lowest the longest. It is primarily used as an emblem for the Pope. Discovered by Ben Cosson and Roger Stoughton in 1928, 2-chlorobenzalmalononitrile is more commonly called what sort of gas? CS gas. 2-chlorobenzalmalononitrile is the chemical name for CS gas, a potent tear gas widely used as a riot control agent. Discovered in 1928, it causes irritation to the eyes, nose, throat, and lungs, leading to temporary incapacitation. Known as a pun on a precious metal, a slang word for fraud, and a quest by Jason in Greek mythology, what award was presented to U.S. officials deemed to waste public money? The Golden Fleece Award. The Golden Fleece Award was a series of awards given by Senator William Proxmire from 1975 to 1988 to U.S. government agencies for perceived wasteful spending of taxpayer money. The name alludes to Jason's quest in Greek mythology for the Golden Fleece. Which World War II leader was captured in April 1945 trying to flee to Switzerland with gold and looted Ethiopian sovereigns, which became known as the Treasure of Dongo? Mussolini. Benito Mussolini, the fascist dictator of Italy, was captured and executed in April 1945 while attempting to flee to Switzerland with his mistress and a convoy. The confiscated valuables, including gold and looted Ethiopian sovereigns, became known as the Treasure of Dongo. In what country were violent demonstrations in 2011 against President Hosni Mubarak and his 30-year leadership? Egypt. In 2011, Egypt experienced widespread violent demonstrations as part of the Arab Spring, leading to the overthrow of President Hosni Mubarak. These protests marked the end of his nearly 30-year authoritarian rule, demanding political reforms and an end to corruption. What is the German name for the region known as Bavaria? Bayern. Bavaria, or Bayern in German, is the largest state in Germany by land area, located in the southeast. Munich is its capital and largest city. Skiving, beading, and perforating are terms commonly associated with which industry? Shoemaking. These terms describe specific processes in shoemaking. Skiving refers to thinning leather, beading involves creating decorative edges, and perforating is the act of making holes, often for design or ventilation. What is the Mohs hardness number for topaz? 8. Topaz is a silicate mineral with a hardness of 8 on the Mohs scale, making it a relatively hard gemstone. The Mohs scale of mineral hardness characterizes the scratch resistance of various minerals through the ability of a harder material to scratch a softer material. In which country did Famy rose porcelain originate? China. Famy rose is a type of Chinese porcelain introduced during the Kangxi reign, 1662 to 1722, of the Qing dynasty. It is characterized by a dominant opaque rose-pink enamel, often used for figures and floral designs. What is the top-level internet domain suffix for the country of Turkey? TR. The TR top-level domain, TLD, is the country code TLD, CCTLD, officially designated for Turkey, administered by the Middle East Technical University. Country code top-level domains are two-letter domains established for countries and sovereign states. Bas relief, cameo, restrike, and anaglyph are technical terms within what art form? Sculpture. These terms are primarily associated with sculpture. Bas relief denotes a type of low-relief sculpture, cameo is a method of carving where an image is raised, and anaglyph refers to three-dimensional images. While restrike can apply to printmaking, it's also relevant to the reproduction of medals and coins, which have sculptural properties. The Middle Eastern dish falafel usually contains onions, parsley, coriander and what main ingredient? Chickpeas. Falafel is a traditional Middle Eastern dish consisting of deep-fried patties or balls made from ground chickpeas or fava beans, or a combination of both. It is a widely popular street food often served in pita bread or as part of a meze platter. What mineral is colloquially known as an Alaskan diamond? Quartz. The term Alaskan diamond refers to clear, faceted quartz crystals found in Alaska, not true diamonds. Quartz is one of the most abundant minerals on Earth, primarily composed of silicon and oxygen atoms arranged in a continuous framework of silicon oxide-silicon oxygen tetrahedra. The Portuguese man-o' war, a sea-dwelling jellyfish-like invertebrate, alludes to a warship design devised in which country? England. The name, Portuguese man-o'-war, is believed to derive from its gas-filled float resembling the triangular sails of 18th-century Portuguese warships. However, the term, man-of-war, historically referred to a powerful sailing warship armed with cannons, a design prominently developed and employed by the English Royal Navy. From what type of creature is Bombay duck made? Fish. Despite its misleading name, Bombay duck is not a duck but a type of lizardfish, scientifically known as *Harpdon nereus. This marine fish is native to the Indo-Pacific region and is a popular culinary ingredient, especially when dried and cured, in South Asian cuisine. What color is an orange blossom? White. Orange blossoms are the highly fragrant, typically white flowers produced by the orange tree, Citrus sinensis *. These delicate flowers are traditionally symbols of good fortune and purity, often used in perfumes, essential oils, and wedding decorations. Where did Panama hats originate? Ecuador. Panama hats, renowned for their lightweight and finely woven straw, originated in Ecuador, not Panama. They acquired their popular name during the 19th and early 20th centuries, particularly after being worn by workers constructing the Panama Canal and gaining international exposure at various world's fairs. What type of building is a picture palace? Cinema. A picture palace was a term popular in the early 20th century for grand, elaborately decorated cinemas designed to offer an opulent movie-going experience. These architectural marvels often featured ornate interiors, comfortable seating, and sometimes even live orchestras before screenings. What type of creature is a prairie dog? Rodent. Prairie dogs are ground squirrels native to the grasslands of North America, classified under the genus Cynomys. They are known for their complex social structures and extensive burrow systems, which create towns across the plains. What color is the black box on a plane? Orange. Aircraft flight recorders, commonly known as black boxes, are actually brightly colored, usually orange or yellow, to make them easier to locate after an accident. They are designed to withstand extreme conditions such as crashes, fire, and deep-sea pressure. In what continent did camels first evolve? North America. Despite their strong association with the deserts of Africa and Asia, camels, Camelidae, actually originated and diversified in North America approximately 45 million years ago. They later migrated to Asia and then Africa via the Bering Land Bridge, eventually becoming extinct in North America. What material are toy marbles typically made from? Glass. Marbles are small spherical toys, traditionally made from glass, clay, or stone. Glass marbles are produced by heating glass until it's molten and then forming it into spheres, often with various color patterns embedded. From which material is kitchen tin foil primarily made? Aluminium. Kitchen foil, commonly known as tin foil, is actually made from aluminium. Aluminium foil is lightweight, flexible, and impermeable, making it ideal for food storage and cooking due to its barrier properties against light, oxygen, moisture, and bacteria. What was the actual duration of the conflict known as the 100 Years' War? 116 years. The 100 Years' War was a series of conflicts waged between the Kingdom of England and the Kingdom of France and their various allies for control over the French throne. It lasted from 1337 to 1453, a total of 116 years, despite its conventional name. From what material is the lead in a lead pencil actually made? Graphite. Despite its name, a lead pencil does not contain the toxic metal lead. The writing core is actually made from graphite, a crystalline form of carbon, mixed with clay and water. The hardness of the pencil depends on the ratio of graphite to clay. Which scientist is credited with first formulating the core principle of relativity, later central to Einstein's theories? Galileo Galilei. While Albert Einstein revolutionized physics with his theories of special and general relativity, the fundamental principle of Galilean relativity, stating that the laws of motion are the same in all inertial frames, was first articulated by Galileo Galilei. This principle posits that motion is relative when there's no absolute frame of reference for velocity. Despite its name, what type of insect is a velvet ant? Wasp. Velvet ants are not true ants but are actually a family of wasps, Mutilidae. The wingless females of many species superficially resemble large, hairy ants, often brightly colored, giving them the common name, velvet ant. They are known for their extremely painful sting. From which animal's intestines was catgut, historically used for musical instrument strings and tennis rackets, typically made? Sheep. Catgut is a type of cord made from the natural fibers found in the intestines of animals, most commonly sheep, though sometimes from cattle or horses. Despite its name, it has never been made from cats. It was widely used for sutures, musical instrument strings, and sports equipment like tennis racket strings due to its strength and elasticity. What type of creature is commonly known as a horned toad? Lizard. Horned toads, also known as horned lizards, are a genus, Phrynosoma, of lizards native to North America. They are called toads due to their flattened, squat bodies and often blunt snouts, which superficially resemble toads, but they are definitively reptiles, not amphibians. What is the liquid inside a coconut? Coconut water. Coconut water is the clear, electrolyte-rich fluid found within young green coconuts, distinct from coconut milk which is extracted from the grated flesh of mature coconuts. It is valued for its nutritional content and natural hydration properties. What creatures are the Canary Islands named after? Dogs. The Canary Islands derive their name from the Latin phrase, Canaria insulae, meaning, islands of the dogs. This name was likely given by ancient Romans due to the presence of large, indigenous dogs on the islands. What sort of fruit is a Chinese gooseberry? Kiwi fruit. The fruit commonly known as kiwi fruit was originally named the Chinese gooseberry, as it is native to China. It was renamed in the 1950s by New Zealand cultivators to enhance its marketability internationally. What type of insect is a Spanish fly? Beetle. The Spanish fly, Litter vesicatoria, is a species of blister beetle native to southern Europe and parts of Asia. It is known for producing cantharidan, a potent chemical historically used as an aphrodisiac and vesicant. Arabic numerals originated in which country? India. The numeral system widely known as Arabic numerals, which includes the concept of zero and positional notation, originated in ancient India. It was subsequently transmitted to the Western world through Arab mathematicians. What are sticks of blackboard chalk made from? Gypsum. Blackboard chalk is primarily composed of gypsum, a soft sulfate mineral hydrated calcium sulfate. It is pulverized and pressed into sticks for writing on blackboards, relying on its soft, crystalline structure to leave a visible mark. What is an ERG, a geography term from French and Arabic, made of? Sand. An ERG is a vast, flat expanse of desert covered with wind-swept sand, forming a sea of sand or sand dunes. This geomorphological term is used to describe large areas of shifting sand dunes, such as those found in the Sahara Desert. Which European country did former US President George W. Bush cancel a trip to in February 2011 due to fears of arrest for alleged torture of prisoners? Switzerland. In February 2011, former US President George W. Bush cancelled a trip to Switzerland amidst calls for his arrest over alleged human rights abuses related to the detention of prisoners. This incident highlighted complex issues surrounding international jurisdiction and the accountability of former heads of state for actions taken during their tenure. What was the codename of the Iraqi agent who admitted lying to US intelligence services about the existence of weapons of mass destruction, providing justification for the Iraq War? Curveball. Curveball was the codename for Rafid Ahmad Alwan al-Janabi, an Iraqi defector whose unverified intelligence claims about Iraq's alleged weapons of mass destruction significantly influenced the US and UK justification for the 2003 Iraq War. His subsequent admission of fabricating information raised critical questions about intelligence gathering and its political implications. Hatha, Jannah, Bhakti, and Karma are all branches of which activity? Yoga. Hatha, Jannah, Bhakti, and Karma are all recognized paths or branches of yoga, an ancient Indian spiritual and physical discipline. Each path emphasizes different aspects. Hatha focuses on physical postures, Jnana on wisdom, Bhakti on devotion, and Karma on selfless action. In British politics, which of the 4 great offices of state had never been held by a woman as of February 2011? Chancellor of the Exchequer. The 4 great offices of state in British politics traditionally refer to Prime Minister, Chancellor of the Exchequer, Foreign Secretary, and Home Secretary. As of February 2011, the Chancellor of the Exchequer was the only one of these positions that had never been held by a woman. Which European capital city is known as Pearl of the Danube? Budapest. Budapest, the capital of Hungary, is often referred to as the Pearl of the Danube, due to its stunning architecture, historical significance, and scenic location along the Danube River, which divides the city into Buda and Pest. What family of tectosilicate minerals, named from the German for field, is the most abundant in the Earth's crust? Feldspars. Feldspars are a group of rock-forming tectosilicate minerals that constitute approximately 60% of the Earth's crust. They are crucial components in igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary rocks, making them fundamental for geological studies. Menudo, a soup-like dish featuring tripe, beef stomach, and chili peppers, is from which country? Mexico. Menudo is a traditional Mexican soup made with beef tripe, often prepared with a red chili pepper base. It holds cultural significance, frequently consumed at celebrations, and is a traditional remedy. The charter for what international organization was signed in San Francisco in June 1945? United Nations. The Charter of the United Nations was signed on June 26, 1945, in San Francisco, establishing the foundational treaty of the UN. This pivotal event created an international organization dedicated to maintaining peace, fostering international cooperation, and promoting human rights. What English monarch was born in 1533? Elizabeth I. Elizabeth I, born in 1533, reigned as Queen of England and Ireland from 1558 until 1603. Her era, known as the Elizabethan era, was marked by significant cultural flourishing, religious stability, and England's emergence as a major European power. Who wrote the play Man and Superman? George Bernard Shaw. Man and Superman is a 4-act drama written by Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw, first performed in 1903. The play explores themes of evolutionary philosophy, social conventions, and the life force, a central concept in Shaw's dramatic works. If a leaf is obcordate, what shape is it? Heart-shaped. Obcordate refers to a specific leaf shape characterized by being inverted heart-shaped, with a point at the petiole attachment and a notched apex. This term is important in botany for plant identification and classification. The ground-dwelling Messide bird is confined to which island, fourth largest globally, behind Greenland, New Guinea and Borneo, given that Australia is regarded as a continent, not an island? Madagascar. Madagascar is the fourth largest island globally, renowned for its unique biodiversity and high rates of endemism, meaning many species, like the Messide bird, are found nowhere else on Earth. Its geographical isolation has led to the evolution of distinct flora and fauna, making it a critical hotspot for conservation. In Arthurian and Welsh romance legendary stories, who was the faithful wife of Geraint? Enid. Enid is a prominent figure in Arthurian legend, particularly in the Welsh romance of Geraint and Enid. Her story exemplifies themes of fidelity, patience, and virtue, making her a significant character in medieval literature and a subject of literary analysis. How many stars are on the national flag of the Cook Islands? 15. The national flag of the Cook Islands features 15 white stars arranged in a circle on a blue field. Each star represents one of the 15 islands of the Cook Islands, symbolizing their unity and connection. Producing mebum, an oily sealant, where on the human head are the meibomian glands. Eyelids. Meibomian glands, also known as tarsal glands, are sebaceous glands located along the rim of the eyelids. They produce an oily substance called mebum, which helps prevent evaporation of the eye's tear film, ensuring eye lubrication and health. What common term for a man and increasingly pluralized for a group of people arose from a 1605 conspiracy? Guys. The term, guy, originated from Guy Fawkes, who was involved in the gunpowder plot of 1605 to blow up the Houses of Parliament in England. Effigies of Guy Fawkes were burned, and over time, guy became a general term for a man, and guys for a group of people. In the Bible, what are the English names of the 5 books of the Pentateuch, also called the Torah and the 5 books of Moses? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. The Pentateuch refers to the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible and the Christian Old Testament, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Also known as the Torah or the 5 books of Moses, these texts are foundational to Judaism and Christianity, containing laws, narratives, and religious principles. By what name is Siddhartha Gautam better known? Buddha. Siddhartha Gautam is widely known as the Buddha, the founder of Buddhism. Born in ancient India, his teachings on suffering, liberation, and the path to enlightenment form the core tenets of the Buddhist philosophy, which has profoundly influenced Asian cultures and global thought. In 1936, Ethel Cain, otherwise known as Tim, became the first what? Talking clock. In 1936, Ethel Cain, known as Tim, became the voice of the world's first speaking clock service, introduced by the British Post Office. This innovation allowed callers to dial a specific number and hear the precise time announced, marking a significant step in telecommunications and public services. Galena is the primary ore mineral of which metal? Lead. Galena is a natural mineral form of lead sulfide, PBS, and is the most important ore for the extraction of lead. It is commonly found in metallic veins, often associated with other minerals like sphalerite, pyrite, and chalcopyrite, and has a distinctive metallic luster and cubic cleavage. The world's largest working water wheel, the Lady Isabella, also known as the Laxey wheel, is on which island, known in its national language as Elanvanan? Isle of Man. The Laxey wheel, also known as Lady Isabella, is a prominent engineering marvel on the Isle of Man. Built in 1854, it was designed to pump water from the Great Laxey mine and holds the distinction of being the largest working water wheel globally. In which African country is the town of Lassa, where Lassa fever was first identified? Nigeria. Lassa fever is an acute viral hemorrhagic illness caused by the Lassa virus. It was initially identified in 1969 in Lassa, a town located in Borno State, Nigeria, and remains an endemic health concern in several West African countries. Englishman John Wycliffe's 14th-century Lollardy movement addressed reform of what? Religion. John Wycliffe, a 14th-century English theologian, initiated the Lollardy movement, which sought significant reforms within the medieval Catholic Church. His teachings emphasized biblical authority and questioned various aspects of clerical power and wealth, serving as a precursor to the Protestant Reformation. In UK politics, what flower is the emblem of the Labour Party? Rose. The red rose serves as the iconic emblem of the Labour Party in the United Kingdom. This symbol represents socialism and democratic values, widely adopted by socialist movements globally, and is a key part of the party's identity. Which U.S. oil company said it would appeal against an $8.6 billion fine imposed by Ecuador judges in 2011 after being accused of polluting the country's Amazon region in a legal wrangle spanning almost 2 decades? Chevron. Chevron Corporation faced a protracted legal battle in Ecuador concerning alleged environmental damage in the Amazon rainforest. In 2011, an Ecuadorian court levied an $8.6 billion fine, holding the company liable for pollution attributed to Texaco, which Chevron acquired in 2001. According to the Gospel of Luke, Zachariah and his barren wife Elizabeth were the parents of which great biblical character? John the Baptist. According to the Gospel of Luke in the New Testament, John the Baptist was the son of Zachariah and Elizabeth. His birth, considered miraculous due to his mother's advanced age and barrenness, is significant as he is regarded as the prophetic forerunner of Jesus Christ. What is an angle called which is larger than 180 degrees and smaller than 360 degrees? Reflex angle. In geometry, a reflex angle is defined as an angle measuring greater than 180 degrees but less than 360 degrees. It represents the larger of the two angles formed when two lines meet at a common vertex. In which European country did the 16th century St. Bartholomew's Day massacre take place? France. The St. Bartholomew's Day massacre was a horrific series of targeted assassinations and widespread Catholic mob violence directed at Huguenots, French Calvinist Protestants. It commenced on August 24, 1572, in Paris, France, leading to thousands of deaths during the French Wars of Religion. What was the previous name of Taiwan, the island off the southeast coast of mainland China? Formosa. Taiwan was historically known to Europeans as Formosa, a name bestowed by Portuguese sailors in the 16th century, meaning beautiful island. This designation was widely used until the mid-20th century, reflecting the island's colonial history and strategic significance. Which island group is known to the French as Isles Normandes? The Channel Islands. The Channel Islands are an archipelago in the English Channel, situated off the coast of Normandy, France. Though culturally and historically linked to both Britain and France, they remain British Crown dependencies. What are the fertile South American lowlands covering more than 750,000 square kilometers, primarily located in Argentina and Uruguay? The Pampas. The Pampas are vast, fertile lowlands in South America, predominantly found in Argentina and Uruguay. This region is critically important for cattle ranching and grain production, making significant contributions to the economies of these nations.